She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
I believe that ignoring video is the avoided handshake of 2019 and beyond, quite frankly. When we are talking about social, when we are talking about content, when we are talking about anything, here and otherwise, as it comes down to our strategy, customer service, marketing, sales, you name it, video is a big part of that conversation.
Good morning, good life. Welcome back to Detail Therapy. You just heard a little bit of my speech from earlier this year that I'm going to be sharing in this episode. You're going to be hearing about why video is important and unavoidable for all brands, whether small or large, how to record a video from start to finish successfully, no matter what your gear or budget looks like, and the secret to making your video stand out from the rest of the world. We have a lot to get into today, but for those of you who are new to the show, my name is Amy Landino and I will be your host. I'm a YouTube creator, professional speaker, best-selling author, and entrepreneur, and I am here to help you go after the life that you want. You can find out more details about me at youtube.com/AMYTV. Well, I have to say I am happily sitting in my home office right now, and I am fresh out of Mexico and getting ready to go to Italy. This was like a kind of buffer couple of days where I came home just to let my dog know that I am still her mother, and that even though I'm going to be gone for a while this summer, she should not forget that, right? Okay, so basically, I am having a couple of days. The intention was to knock out some stuff I couldn't get done before I left. A couple YouTube thumbnails here, a little bit of podcasting there, and that's why we're talking now. But I'm not going to lie, I had a couple of really good, solid self-sabo days. Self-sabotage in full force. And when I say self-sabo, I mean like, oh, I should be working, but I'm going to watch endless episodes of The Real Housewives and Southern Charm. So that's what's happening. And I'm like, whatever. I'm on vacation. I mean, this work stuff has to happen at some point, but I'm ahead of the game. I'm doing okay. And sometimes you just got to have those moments. You know what I mean? Like come on, cut me a break here. It's so nice out. I mean, I came home to Ohio and it's kind of like 59 degrees for some reason in the middle of June. But other than that, it's beautiful. And yeah, why not? Just stay inside and watch television. Self-sabo. Okay, but I started my morning today by saying, no, if we're actually going to get work done, maybe let's start with a spin class. Girl, you're about to be eating a lot of carbs, drinking a lot of wine in Italy. Let's go to spin class because you're not going to be able to do that for a while. And so that was how I started my day. And now I am totally caffeinated and ready to rock for this podcast. And also, that's in part to our sponsor of this episode of Detail Therapy, which is Four Sigmatic. Listen, if you like mushrooms, you're going to love this. If you don't like mushrooms, you're still gonna love this. Four Sigmatic is a superfood company founded by a group of Finnish fun guys. Get it? Fun guys? They are aiming to popularize functional mushrooms and adaptogens by incorporating them into products like coffee, tea, and cacao. So basically, here's the deal. Even though they get a lot of flack for being less tasty to some people, including me, mushrooms and adaptogens are some of the world's most nutritious foods. So Four Sigmatic is making it easier for you to get those benefits without sacrificing anything. The first thing you have to try is my everyday treat, and that is the mushroom coffee with lion's mane and chaga. So not only do you get your coffee fix, the lion's mane and chaga are the bonus that support productivity, focus, and creativity. Hello, our favorite things here. This is the perfect drink for you to kick off your work day. Just like you would any other day, you're going to have your coffee. You might as well have your coffee with lion's mane and chaga because, yeah, that sounds great. There are a lot of options here. If you go to their site, it will actually help you filter by taste or type, caffeinated or not, Whole30 compliant, or any benefits that you want like productivity, energy, or gut health. So I love their website because you can basically choose, plug and play the drink that's right for you based on what you want out of it. I also recommend, however, the energy booster of the Cordyceps Mushroom Elixir Mix. This is my go-to pre-workout. It's great because because it's ready to go just in hot water. So you can add it to your coffee, to your tea, and it's going to help you power through that session with your trainer, or if you're like me, going to a spin class with a friend. And the best part of all is that Four Sigmatic is currently having its annual Summer Better sale, so you can get your favorite products for up to 60% off right now. And hey, because we're friends, it gets better. If you go to foursigmatic.com/detail therapy, you will get an additional 15% on top of that off of your order. This sale is not going to come back until November, and it ends June 23rd. So you're going to want to hop to foursigmatic.com/detail therapy. That's foursigmatic.com/detail therapy. 15% off their crazy sale. Get on it. Do not forget to check out without the coffee. You'll thank me later. With that, let's get into my chat with the fine folks who attended the One Squared event in Minneapolis, Minnesota earlier this year. My talk is called The Ultimate Digital Handshake, and it is all about leveraging video to promote your brand. A couple of things to keep in mind from this speech. The full video version is also available. That is at my Live with Amy YouTube channel, which is kind of a fun space. I keep some bonus content that I don't typically post on my usual YouTube-ness. So I will link to that in the show notes. Also, we had a couple of audio issues with this, but I still thought it was totally worth sharing with you. So there's really crummy audio in like the first 5 minutes, so bear with the sort of like peaking issues we had there. And then the clicking that happens is just because I have a bouncy personality all over that stage. So I still thought that you could understand what was going on, and actually even in audio when you can't see the slides, I think it is still very helpful. Just know that if there's anything you wanted to go look at again, go check out that full version video. And you can also hit up Meg at hello@detailspodcast.com if you would like my authority video formula. That document, that PDF, we'll just send that over to you if you would like it. If you email Meg, again, hello@detailspodcast.com. That is something I talk about in the sort of last portion of this speech. And I even say to the audience, send me an email, you can get this PDF. So I wanted you to have that same opportunity should you enjoy it. Let's pop over in time to a moment where I was speaking on stage, and I'm sharing that with you today.
I was last in a very long line of bridesmaids. Not only was I last, I was asked last. My girlfriend, we're very good friends in high school, I thought. She called me and she said, "Amy, I'm getting married, and I want you to be a part of my big day." This other girl, she got pregnant. She's not going to fit into the dress in time. So we're really hoping you could step in. Okay, cool. You don't say no to a bride. It's just not right. You don't do it. Has anyone been married before? You know this, right? You don't say no when somebody asks you to be part of their big day. And so I thought I could be the last bridesmaid, but I kind of want to be the favorite. Like, I want to beat out all of these ladies to be the favorite bridesmaid. How do I do that? How do you make someone feel even more special on the most special day of their life? And I came up with the idea for a video. I'm not really sure how I came up with this idea. I'd never made a video before, but sure, why not? I looked over at my digital camera, this little Canon. We used to have to take these on vacation. I'm aging myself now. You used to have to take digital cameras on vacation to document your journey. Now we have smartphones, which is lovely. But this camera had a video option on it. I thought, that's super useful. So I took that device and I went back to our hometown and I just started filming people that we went to school with, teachers, parents, just anyone who knew Stephanie, anyone who could wish her well. And I compiled all these clips. I took it home to my desktop computer, which took up my entire kitchen at the time. And I imported all that footage and I created a video for Stephanie, something to let her know that people were thinking of her at this very important moment in her life. With, of course, the ever emotional backing track, Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. And then I exported that video onto a DVD. Do you guys remember what a DVD is? DVD burning? This was 2007. I didn't even know that online video sharing was a thing at the time, and certainly didn't know that YouTube existed. And oh, that's fun. Here we go. Look, Last Bridesmaid. Come on, girl. So I burned this video onto a DVD and I took it to the rehearsal dinner. And I asked for some airtime. And they said, why is the Last Bridesmaid asking us for airtime? What does that even mean? Well, they found a tube television that had a DVD player. And they wheeled it into this rehearsal dinner. And they put it in front of everybody. We popped the DVD in and pressed play. And that was the moment that changed the rest of my life. Now, naturally, videos playing, faces that Stephanie knows popping up. Oh my God, I haven't seen them in so long. And she's emotional, she's crying. Can't believe this is happening right now. As she should, I worked very hard on this thing, okay? It took a long time. But that wasn't the thing. This video is playing and I'm locked with Stephanie. I'm looking at Stephanie, but then I start looking around at the rest of the room. People she went to college with. The husband-to-be, his family. They're emotional too. And I was thinking, that's odd. They don't know who this is. You know, they're not from where we're from. They don't know this neighborhood. They don't get it. They don't understand this situation. This is just for Stephanie. But I thought, how interesting that you can make something for one very specific individual and affect the many. And I think that is what is so amazing, not just about video, but about content in general, that if we really get focused on the individual, that we can affect more than just the one. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. And yes, so I have a YouTube channel. I'm sure that's just, you know, making you so excited right now. Like, oh, this girl, she's going to tell us to try video. And somebody probably brought you here and said you should try it for your business. And they're telling you how fun it is and how you should just try it. Jump in. It's no big deal. You're going to love it. And then you're like, oh my God, that is the worst thing that could have ever happened. I don't ever want to do it again. Please make it stop. You can't talk about YouTube without having a cat video. You're welcome. So that's all fine and good. That's fine. Let's talk business then. We're all business people in here, right? So I have a question. Hand in the air if you've shaken someone's hand today. Have you given anyone a handshake? Yeah, a lot of people, right? You go to an event, you meet people, you shake their hand. It's very frequently done. But what's really interesting about this is the handshake is so often engaged in, but it's not been studied very often and written about, but this is what intrigued the University of Illinois in 2012 to talk about the power of a handshake and help us understand it. What they found in their study is that a handshake preceding social interaction enhanced the positive impact of approach and diminished the negative impact of avoidance behavior on evaluation of social interaction. What does that mean? Essentially, get in there, do it. A handshake is the best first impression you can make with someone else in real life. Not only are you making a positive first impression by opening up to them with your body language, but you're simultaneously diminishing any negative impressions they might have of you, which also diminishes sort of that avoidance behavior of crossed arms or I want to get on my phone now, that kind of thing. Think of a time that you maybe didn't shake someone's hand. What was going on? Why did that happen? Why did you avoid it? Because when you think of that, I want to ask you, what if there was something equivalent in the digital world? And by not shaking someone's hand, by not opening up that opportunity, it is the biggest missed opportunity in the digital space, equivalent to that handshake. I believe that ignoring video is the avoided handshake of 2019 and beyond, quite frankly. When we are talking about social, when we are talking about content, we are talking about anything, here and otherwise, as it comes down to our strategy, customer service, marketing, sales, you name it, video is a big part of that conversation. Shake your head if you agree with that sentiment. Yeah, we can't avoid video at this point. So Unlike handshakes, content has been frequently studied and measured and written about. And in a recent study about engaging your audience with visual content, custom video actually beats out every other form of visual content. Not just live video, but GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you feel about saying it. Which is arguable, I agree. But very important. It is a huge missed opportunity if you are not doing it in your marketing strategy, your content strategy, your sales strategy across the board for your business. But really, why are we talking about handshakes and videos? You have to tap into that market. You have to leverage it. And one of our clients at Aftermark actually recognized this. SAP, if you're familiar with SAP, they are enterprise software, and they were having a really hard time tapping into their small business market and letting them know that they were there to support them. Why? Because when you think enterprise software, a small business usually decides they're not able to scale at that level. But that's why we created a series called Life Ad. It's custom video. It's a storytelling series that helps those small businesses identify those that look similar to them, and they just so happen to use the software. But I don't know if you've heard, software is not super exciting to talk about, like especially in a marketing capacity. So we have to tell the stories in order for people to understand the impact on their business. And this was hugely successful for them in the first year of this series. Having 15 million impressions on each upload is absolutely insane, even for a company like that, because as you know, posting a video is not always easy. I mean, why did this work for them? I'm sure you've seen a video recently or not so recently, or probably this morning, that wasn't really worth it, right? Just because you upload a video to the internet doesn't mean it's good. Kind of like a handshake. Maybe you can remember a handshake. Maybe it happened today, or maybe a different day. That was less than extraordinary. Didn't really do it for you. So let's talk about that. Have you ever tried the dead fish handshake? Have you ever gotten that? Oh, yeah, I know. I love this resource for these incredible examples. Let's talk about the dead fish handshake and what it feels like. Just sort of like, oh, I just kind of came to do this, but I didn't want to. It's just not, I'm not stoked about being here, but I'll shake your hand, whatever. Just like we don't want to see the dead fish handshake, we don't want to engage in it, we also don't want dead fish video. What does that look like? Emotionless, lacks passion and enthusiasm, no strategy whatsoever. Somebody told you to do it, so you did it. And in some ways, uploading video kind of has to be that way. You just have to try things. You just have to upload. You just have to see what works. But there's got to be some kind of strategy. There's got to be something to say, okay, we're going to pivot from here. So let's not do any of those things. We don't want the dead fish. We also don't want the lobster claw. I like to call this one like the queen. Let me show you why. The lobster claw is really interesting because you're like, are you better than me? Like, we just got the fingertips? That's all you had? That's all you had to support me with there? No. And so in lobster claw video, what we notice is lack of context, very over-scripted, keeping it too close to the vest. Have you ever had the feeling we're going to share too much information in our content? Our competitors are going to take it. They're going to run with it. They might. And then they're going to get your customer. So instead of keeping it too close to the vest, and instead of not recognizing the different networks and why they're different and how you customize for each of them, and being too overly scripted, reading a prompter, or not being able to talk to a camera at all because you're just reading, we have to avoid that. We don't want the lobster claw. I like to call it the queen. Lobster claw's fine too. Sweaty palms. Oh, yeah, you guys remember sweaty palms, okay? So sweaty palms is really special because you just wish you could take a shower. That's pretty much, after that, you're just like, maybe we'll go to the doctor now. That would be good. Now, it's actually really similar to video because a sweaty palm or video is kind of like camera anxiety, a little bit of fear of judgment. You forget who you're talking to because you're so busy thinking about all the people that don't matter. For all the reasons we don't want that kind of video, do we? No. So, but we want very confident, and you know the last time you had a really good confident handshake. It just came off like that person showed up, knew why they were there, were fully representing and engaged in the conversation that they were about to have with you, no matter what was to come. And we want confidence in a lot of what we do, but certainly in video. And so just there's a lot of things that go into confident video, but authenticity, it just bums me out so much how much authenticity has become this buzzword, this overly done thing. It means something to be authentic and advocating for the brand. Whether you are the brand or we're talking about a project with somebody who is going to represent you and talk about you and spread the word about you. The confidence in how they advocate is very important, and the relevance. And we're going to talk a lot about context in this presentation. How relevant are you not just to the platform, but to the audience that is getting this message? How does this apply to them? So when we think about confident video, there are a few things that I want to walk you through in order to achieve that. First, we're going to start with choosing your channel. There's a lot of different options out there. You need to know what to do, because guess what? You don't have to do it all. I highly recommend you don't. Where will you be? Where will your presence be? And where will you be consistently? Sustaining that strategy, that's where we're really going to talk about the consistency level. What does it mean to show up on a regular basis? What does it mean not just in schedule, but in a lot of other ways, sustaining that strategy? Follow your formula. We're going to walk through my authority video formula, which I like to say is what you can do from start to finish in any video, whether it's your first or your 1000th, and you want to make sure it's going to be a good product, whether you need to improve things over time or not. You can start with the smartphone if you just know what you're doing. And then finally, we'll talk about identifying your perfect viewer. How does that sound? Good, great. All right, choose your channel. We have a lot of options, but context will make or break your situation every day of the week. If you think you can copy paste everywhere, you are dead wrong. I want you to get the most mileage out of your video, but you have to understand that it's going in different places for different reasons with different audiences, and the messaging and the delivery needs to match that. So when we think about all of the different options here, let's really walk through what does it mean not to be a brand on Twitter, be a brand on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. What does it like to be the audience? So let's talk about just the big ones here, specifically in video, Facebook and YouTube, and Instagram clearly is a big contender in this conversation, but we'll just focus on the two for now. When it comes to the viewer decision-making process of watching a video, what does that look like? Just think about yourself as a human, as a person, as a normal user of these platforms. When you're deciding to make a video on YouTube, here are the factors at play. A title and a thumbnail image, which is so interesting, right? Words and a photo help you decide to watch a video. And when you do, you click play. And what happens when you click play? Yes. The funny people like to say, an ad comes on. I just was wondering if there was any of you out there. But what happens is, when you click on that video, let's say you're in search results and you see what you want to see, you click on it, the video, the audio, everything comes on. You can't hear it because I'm talking. But if you were on YouTube right now, that's what would happen. You have joined an immersive experience. It starts. It is intentional. That is an intentional view. What happens on Facebook? What are the decision-making factors for a video on Facebook? For the most part, it's a changing landscape and it's very confusing. But it just showed up and it's auto-playing without audio. So basically, you're just hanging out on Facebook. This is desktop. It can look a lot of different ways. And you see your friends went to the pumpkin show, so you like that status. And then you keep scrolling, and there's a video now that shows up and starts playing. And you're like, huh, moving photo. Interesting. I like drone footage. Maybe I'll watch this. And you click into it. What happens? The audio may come on at this point. How much time passed before the audio came on? Are you recognizing that that may be what's happening with your content on that platform? Are you also recognizing that the first 3 seconds of that video, no audio, registered a view for you as the creator? How exciting. Our view count went up. What was the impact? Did you start talking right from the beginning? Were there no captions? Was there nothing to help the person that's simply trying to figure out if they're willing to let you disrupt their scroll. Disruptive view versus intentional. You see the difference? Understanding that viewer decision-making process is extremely important for you to be able to say, okay, how are we customizing this experience with this video in that world? If we want the same ideas to be posted in a couple of different presences, that's fine. How can we put this video in each of those places and make the most of it? But how do we make the most of it in that context, in that platform? That's very, very important. So just weighing those two and understanding how do we do this the right way is extremely important. That's just a comparison between Facebook and YouTube, but it's different across the board. So now you think about all these different places that you can be. Ideally, you're going to choose where your audience is, and you're going to understand what the viewer decision-making process for watching content is. And now you need to sustain it. How are we going to stay consistent? Well, consistency is that key to confident. If you do not show up when you say you are going to, if you do not show up when the platform decides is the right amount, you get lost, you become forgotten, and all of this goes to waste. So let's think about back again with our major platforms. Just look at each of those and start thinking about how different that they are. Because what we now need to do is really say to ourselves, are we going to post the same amount on each of these platforms? The way that they are, the way that they interact, the way that we present ourselves there, are we really going to have the same consistency of posting in each of these places? No. Let's talk about the average lifespan of content in each of these platforms. This is where we get to about 75% of the potential of a post. Now, some of these are not all super video related, like Instagram, you can have photos, Twitter, you can have the written word. Regardless of what the actual post is, this is the average lifespan for content on these platforms once they've gotten to about 75% of the engagement they're going to receive. On Twitter, it's 18 minutes. One tweet, 18 minutes is the average lifespan. On Facebook, it's 5 hours. On Instagram, it's 21 hours. LinkedIn, 24. YouTube is 20 days. So think about the lifespan. Are you going to have to post the same amount on Twitter as you would on YouTube? Not at all. Has anyone ever posted an Instagram story? How long does it take for an Instagram story to die? 24 hours. So if that's the case, should you only post an Instagram story once a week? No, that's actually an example of, other than the fact that highlights exist on Instagram, you can keep things a little bit longer. A story is meant to die after 24 hours, so you need to post more often throughout that 24 hours so that you constantly have a rolling story live. So the lifespan is very important to the conversation of how you're going to be consistent. I want to talk about YouTube because it's my favorite. So the actual industry standard on YouTube to post for consistency is once a week. If you were to sit down and talk to a YouTube consultant right now that works at the company and understands how the algorithm is working, they would tell you, nail it once a week, and you're doing good. At that point, if you're crushing it, then we'll talk about increasing it. Now, of course, people don't do this a lot of the time. You see daily vloggers who do that, or you see businesses who post 3 times a week. It doesn't matter. This is the industry standard for success on YouTube. Knowing that, and knowing that the average lifespan for a video could be 20 days, why would you want to post more than that? Let your work work. So, the reason I talk about sustainability is because just because you're uploading once a week, let's say on YouTube, doesn't mean you're doing the same thing all the time. Because sustainability is not just being consistent, but it's also providing the content that your audience wants to see. And there's also different levels of audience. How well do they know you? Do they already know you? Are you not on their radar yet? And that's what the Hub Hero Help strategy is. So here's how we break this down. Each of these sections is the type of setup, basically, that you're going to do for your videos. You're always catering to your subscribers. You're always catering to people who know, like, and trust you already. But you've got to find other ways to bring new people into the fold. Hub is where we're focused strictly on subscribers. You're going to be posting this type of content, and I'll give an example, but this type of content for subscribers only is at least 60% of the time. Actually, it's 100% because you're doing it all the time. But there will be that 60% of the time where it's like, we're just doing this for people who get it, people who are already in the fold, they love what we're doing, and we're enhancing that experience for them. That's the hub. With Hero, you're focused on subscribers and a mainstream audience. So you can think about this as your periodic Super Bowl commercial, right? So every once in a while, you're gonna do something that's a little bit more resources and time. It's harder to batch record them. I do a lot of hub stuff, record 4 videos in a row because they're easy to do together. But a Hero might be something big and different and interesting and kind of more far-reaching. This is 10% of the time. When you think about the viral video thing, this is the category for it. And you should not be aiming to be viral 100% of the time. It's not sustainable. 10%, you're going to do something a little bit different, something a little bit bigger. And with Help, this is where you're focused on the subscribers and a search-driven audience. If you haven't heard, on YouTube, it's the #2 search engine, only to adopted mommy Google. Help, we're tapping into the fact that somebody could type in a question or look for something and potentially find our content as a result. And so that's your other 30%. So you're always catering to subscribers, but sometimes it's just for them. A lot of times it's just for them. And every once in a while, we're doing something that's big that'll help people that are not just our perfect target viewer, but a little bit more people than that, but still customized just for them. And Help is where we're saying, okay, well, how can we show up in these results? How can we get on the radar of more people because of a question that they asked? And let's be a resource to them. So I'm going to show you an example here. This is the Lowe's YouTube channel. And what they do for Hero is a series called The Weekender. It's a little bit hard to read, but what I've highlighted here is a series they do called The Weekender. Think HGTV series where they go in and they gut someplace and they do something new and fancy with it. Very good on the Hero scale because it could bring a lot of people in, and it does. It gets tremendously more views than their other content. Now, when we're talking about Hub, we're looking at these videos here. They say behind the design of, and what they're actually doing is behind the scenes of their Hero series. So do you care about behind the scenes of something you've never seen before? No. That's why it's Hub. If someone's entered into the fold because they saw our awesome big series and they love it and they subscribe and they stick around, now let's show them behind the scenes. So this is an example of Hub content, very focused on those who already know what the series is, know what Lowe's does on their presence, and therefore wants to do more. And then of course Help, because I don't know if you've heard, Lowe's sells home improvement stuff and more, I'm sure, but they have instructional videos for those things that they sell. Do you need to clean your pool? How do you replace and install a toilet? These are all things you can probably buy from them, but regardless of where you got it, they can walk you through how to do it. Because you know what? If somebody went and bought a toilet somewhere and was like, I'm gonna need to install this. How am I gonna do that? What's your inclination? To go buy an instructional booklet on installing toilets? No. We have the internet for that. And so YouTube is showing you a video result for you to visually walk through this process. This is how you find your sustainable strategy. It's the frequency that you need to decide and the percentage of time that you're spending on different ways to reach your audience and more people than just your audience. Now, follow your formulas. You know where you're gonna post, you know how often you're gonna do it, and you say, this is what we gotta do. Now, let's make sure that every piece of content we post is worthy of everyone's time. How can we make the most of this? Even if later we say, the camera sucked, we have better offices now, we rebranded, all that stuff. All the excuses for why everybody wants to go back and delete their old videos. We're starting fresh, right? I know somebody in here has done that before, at least. So we need to make the content last over the long haul, no matter what changes come in the future. And so I basically mapped out this step-by-step process, beginning to end. How do you make a video useful, even if those changes and evolution come? And so I'm gonna walk you through this. It's a little bit hard to read, but I'm gonna tell you every step of this process. And we're gonna start all the way to the left. This is the beginning of your video. Once it's edited, all of these things, if they are touched on, this is a very, very good product. And for those of you taking photos, if it's difficult to get it, amy@aftermark.com. I will just email this to you, PDF, no sign up or anything. I will email this to you if you would like it. Just write down my email address. If you do all of these things from start to finish and that's your finally edited piece, then you're in very good shape. This video is gonna do good things for you. First step is subject first. Subject first means don't waste any time allowing the viewer to see your subject. What is a subject? Probably a person, a lot of the time. Why do we want to see that? It's very relatable, seeing a person. You click on a video, see a person, well, that's funny. They have a face, I have a face. We're relating already. This is great. Another thing that you can do is, what is the subject of the video? Let's say, I like to give the example of a beauty blogger. I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful fishtail braid. Well, great. I don't want to see your ugly hair at the beginning. I want to see the fishtail braid. I want to see that I like it. I want to see that we're going to get to it. And then I'll look at your crazy wet nappy hair after, okay? But show me the braid. So we've got the person, we've got the braid. So the subject can be both a thing that you're reviewing, a result that's gonna come from the end of the video, and a person. A lot of the time it's usually a person, especially in B2B video, where we're just trying to talk to people about solving their problems. Subject first. Don't waste any time on that. And the next is loyalty treatment. Loyalty treatment is my fancy way of saying, treat everyone like they've been watching you on video since the beginning. Even if this is the beginning, okay? Treat it like we've been going to coffee for years. Once a week, Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, for years we've been going to coffee. If somebody came and saw you after many coffee appointments and sat down and was like, hey, how are you? And you were like, hi, my name is Amy and I have a website, it's AMYLandino.com, and you can actually find out where I'll be speaking across the globe on the events page. Also sign up for my newsletter, that would be really great. And I also own this really great video production company. You should check it out, it's at aftermark.com. Would you do that to your friend who just came to coffee with you for the 100th time? No. So, are we treating every viewer like they're loyal if we remind them of our title and our elevator pitch and our call to action far too prematurely? No. So we can skip that. We don't have time for that. Why? Because of the 8-second rule, which is number 3. 8 seconds is on average what you have on YouTube, which is very kind. Why? Because it's an intentional view, not disruptive, not accidental. When someone has decided to watch a video, it takes on average 8 seconds for them to decide, am I gonna stay or am I gonna leave? So just think back to that elevator pitch. If you were still in the middle of that at the 8-second mark, and then the 30-second mark, and then we're still not done a minute in, what do you think's happening? See you later. You have on average 8 seconds, and that's on YouTube. It's much less forgiving on Facebook, and you probably didn't even have their attention for the first 3 to 5 seconds, so you really don't know when you're losing them. And also, they didn't hear your pitch anyway. So, very important to keep that in mind. Let's see a face, let's get right into it. Don't worry about the call to action, that will come in different stages. Just deliver what you said you were gonna do today. That'd be great. Because I'm a person and I don't have a lot of time. Does anyone here have tons of extra time to like hear whatever people want to talk? No. So just assume they're busy, okay? Get to the point. Next, branded title sequence. I say this because there's a way to integrate a title sequence that has the name of your company and things that you want people to know about what you do. Mine might be like footage like this of me on stage, look at me, and it's got a lovely little theme song underneath it, and it's got my name on it. You can do that, but keep it short because we still have that 8-second rule. And so when you start a video with, here's what we're gonna do today, and throw in a title sequence to let people know you're professional, you're doing this the right way, and you still wanna know who, you want them to know who is producing the project, keep it short, okay? This isn't Game of Thrones, this isn't House of Cards. We don't need 3 minutes of credits, okay? 5, maybe 10 seconds of a title sequence. But remember, we wanted subject first, and then we can drop in the branding. The other thing to think about is how many ways can branding be put into a video? Can you wear your logo on your polo? Can you have a lower third that's got your name and your title and all that stuff that you don't have to say, but it can be displayed? There's a lot of ways to integrate branding, so keep that title sequence, if you have it, short. Content setup. So at this point, you want to let people know you're getting into it. You have a couple of things you want them to know in advance of the actual content itself, and you're really just setting it up. Just whatever you can do to whet the palate of the people who are interested in what the topic is because they clicked on the video and therefore they want to know what's going on. Start that setup, but then give yourself a moment to call a micro call to action. The reason I say this is because let's say you do a 10-minute video or so, it's going to be a while before we're asking for anything. So we want them to show that they are engaged at this point of the video, probably a minute to a minute and a half in. A micro call to action is something that's social, something that's engaging, that's very low barrier to entry. Can you like the video? Can you leave a comment with what your first thoughts are on an initial question you're asking? How can you get them to take some kind of action early on? My example of a micro CTA is I just give Twitter gratitude. So I will say, I just want to give a shout out today. Thank you so much to Joanna. Joanna retweeted my video, and so today I'm featuring her on the show. That's my very subtle micro call to action that you should be following me on Twitter if you want to know when my latest video comes out, because the people who retweet that might get featured. So you can find your own way to integrate this, but remember, it should be something very easy to do, something entry level, not buy my product, get my book, sign up for my newsletter. We're not there yet. You haven't earned it yet. But this does help them to feel more involved in the content once we're at this point. And now you need to be generous. Content generosity. Remember what I said earlier about keeping it too close to the vest? Deliver it all. Be focused, but deliver it. Whatever you said this video was to be about, tell them everything you know, as focused as you can, but everything. If you let somebody else disclose the good stuff, you'll lose them. They're going to keep going and looking for more. But if you feel like the confidant that they have for the answers that they need, this is your opportunity to do that. Now, what I mean by being focused is sometimes we try to cover too much territory in a video. Allow yourself to stay focused in what is the exact thing we're going to do here. And if you think there's more to this story, but it's going to get too lengthy of a video, then let them know, hey, this is part 1 of a 3-part series, or I'm going to talk about that in another video. Give them a reason to stay committed to you. That's what focus allows you to do additionally to making the video worth something that's not a ramble. So we're generous. We did everything we were supposed to keep them engaged. We've got them through 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the video, and now it's closing time. Somebody always sings that song. You guys are really letting me down. Okay, closing time is when we get to ask for something in return for all the value we just dropped. I just did all this stuff for you. So now, because I am your thought leader, you thought everything I said was banging by the time we got here, I'm going to tell you the next thing. The next thing just so happens to be a way that will help your business, a way that will help your presence, but it's going to sound relevant and contextual to the video. So the first thing I like to ask for is an engagement CTA, very similar to the micro CTA that I suggested, but this could be a YouTube comment. I typically say something like, what were your thoughts on this? Or how would you react if da-da-da-da-da? Leave a comment below or like the video, whatever the case may be, something quick and easy, because then the main call to action is coming right after that. Is there a PDF download that would go perfect with this video you just walked them through that they could download right now if they go to your landing page? Or is it something else? Or is it, this is who I interviewed on the show today and they're gonna be at my event. Come to the event. Here is the link to go buy tickets. Whatever that main call to action is, this is your opportunity to ask for it. Not because you just had to earn it, you did, but because it's the next natural step in this process. If they were interested in the content to begin with, they will be interested in what this call to action is at the end. And finally, timestamp awareness. I say this because this is an arguable time for length of video conversation, especially on YouTube, where we were made very clear that views are important, but even more important than views, YouTube showed us that the main metric in the back end is watch time. So 1-minute videos didn't go very far after that, because if you get 1 view in 1 minute, then congratulations, it's 100% retention, but that's not really gonna grow a channel. But if you can get someone for 5 out of 5 minutes, or even 3 out of 5 minutes, that's what exponentially grows. Where we get into trouble with this is we just assume that no one's heard of us, but once we upload this riveting 20-minute podcast interview, everyone's gonna watch it all the way to the end. And then if they don't, because they don't know you and these are their first coffee dates with you, you have a low audience retention rate, let's say 2 minutes out of 20. That's not good for the growth of a presence. It doesn't matter what platform you're talking about. So being aware of the timestamp and where you should be ending is very important. You can start to understand what this looks like for you individually when you actually go into your YouTube backend after you've been uploading, and I think Facebook offers something similar. What is the average amount of time people tend to watch? So you can start to stay closer to that metric. But as long as you're averaging 50% or so average duration, you're probably in a really good place. You want to be maybe a little north of that, but 50% is very good as an average, depending on, of course, the sample size that you have to measure. My super pro tip on this is, let's talk about the help category. Let's say you're going to answer someone's question, and you want that video to be #1 in the search results on YouTube, potentially something Google will recommend. Does that sound good? You should probably know what your competition is. So look to see what everybody else did when it came to teaching that beautiful fishtail braid. And how long did the videos take? Because if I'm hurrying and I don't have a lot of time, I need to know right now how to do that braid. I don't have 20 minutes because Sarah did it in 5. So if your video is 20 minutes and Sarah did it in 5, the likelihood you're at the top of search is arguable, but also I'm picking Sarah. Timestamp awareness is important. There is no clean answer. Short, long, what is the market doing? How can you be better? How can you be shorter? That's always good. Saving people time is always good. So that is my authority video formula. I think if you hit those marks, or the majority of them, your video will be good every time, even if it's the first one you've ever done. So, where are we now? This is just a quick example of the authority video formula. I can send this to you if you're interested in the formula, but this is a realtor out of Jacksonville who did a really good job of just letting people know cool stuff to do in Jacksonville. And more importantly for you, we need to talk about your perfect viewer. When you have the formula, you know where you're posting, you know how you're gonna be sustainable, you're keeping it going. The reality is we don't want sweaty palms. We want to talk to the camera like it's a person. When I look at the lens of a camera, it is not the lens of a camera. It is Charlotte. By having one person in mind, just like I had Stephanie in mind, by having that one person in mind, it's a lot easier to stop thinking about all the judgments or all of the missteps or all of the goals we may not hit. Because if we know we still positively affect our one avatar really well, we have the ability to help more people. And I am living proof that you can help more than just the one.
So I just walked in from outside. My daughter's sitting at the computer watching a vlog. I hate that word. But she's watching a vlog. I'm gonna turn the camera here so you can see it, and then I haven't asked her this yet. I've asked her to tell me how she found it, who it is, and what it is she knows about this person in this vlog. And then I'm going to tell her a little something about it as well. So let's see if I can turn the camera. Can I turn the camera on while I'm doing this? Maybe not. All right, so here, let's do this. So there's the vlog. Okay. Here's Katie.
Hi.
All right, so Katie, tell me who that is, tell me how you found it, and tell me why you're watching.
Okay, so my name is Landino, and I found her because I was scrolling through videos one day, and I found her channel, and I really, really like her. And I'm watching it because she does a bunch of like marketing stuff, and she runs 2 of her own businesses, and she does like a bunch of speaking events, and I'm really interested in that stuff, so I sort of want to do my own business when I'm older, and she does a bunch of productivity tips, and I really like it.
And here she would probably tell you to slow down and enunciate your words. Okay, and so let me tell you a little something about your new favorite person there on the interwebs. Amy Landino used to be Amy Schmidauer. She came and spoke at the LDA event last year, and she's a friend of mine.
No way!
Yeah.
No! No!
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop recording the video. I'm going to send this video to Amy, and then I'm going to FaceTime her with my daughter.
Oh no!
That's pretty cool. What do you think about that? Pretty neat to have a cool dad.
So naturally, I FaceTimed Katie right away because, you know, ego trip. That was great. And I asked her, I said, Katie, how did you find me? And she said, well, I was doing some researching about calendars and planners and just like getting things done. And I was like, you're 10. Go outside and play. And that is just what I want you to take away from this. Katie is not my target audience. Katie's not even old enough to technically be on YouTube, if we're being honest. And Jason is not my target audience. But Charlotte is. And by staying focused on her and delivering for her every single time, it's still possible to affect the many, certainly when you have a strategy in play. That's all for me. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, what did you think of that? A little different, a little bit fun. We haven't quite done something like this yet. It's a different kind of solo episode. I'd love to hear if you want to hear more of me on stage in these podcasts. Go over to my Instagram account for this podcast, Details Podcast. That's at Details Podcast on Instagram. And on that latest photo, leave a comment and let me know what you thought of this episode and what was your favorite part. Share that over there with me today. Thanks again to the sponsor of this episode of Detail Therapy, Four Sigmatic. Get that additional 15% off their summer sale by going to foursigmatic.com/detail therapy. Link in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If you would like to discover even more actionable details, head over to AMYTV by typing the URL in your browser, youtube.com/AMYTV, or search for Amy Landino in your YouTube app. That's LANDINO. Make sure you remember to subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. Cheers.